Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno New Origins, where I believe we are incredibly close at this point to getting everything visited. I think we just need to go to Claude at this point. So let's hop in here and just make sure that this is good to go. I think we got this fully set up for last episode. The major questions right now are these RTGs going to burn off on ascent? And that's basically the only question. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the whole thing at this point. So let's go ahead and launch this and we'll find out. So we're going to launch it. We're probably going to be all wiggly at the very beginning as usual, but our program is going to take over here. And off we go. Oh yeah, that's super wiggly. I want to not go through this at 10x this whole time because we're concerned about potential effects on these RTGs, right? So I'm just going to pin open this RTG. We'll keep an eye on that temperature. And let's just lift this right on up. We know our program will deliver us into a 500-kilometer orbit, and we'll see how this goes. We can see that we're currently producing 58.1 watts. I'm wondering if RTGs decay over time in this game like they do in reality. That'd be interesting. If so, this power is the peak performance that we're going to get right now. But, of course, it's still probably going to be better for us out at Claude than we would get from... This is a lot more stable, isn't it? It's still all jittery, but this is not bad. Now it's perfectly stable. That's normal, though. This is still probably going to be more power generation out at Claude than solar panels would be. So that's absolutely wonderful. So we're just keeping an eye on that temperature and seeing if we need to put this inside of a fairing of some sort, or some way of doing that. That's a lot of newtons of drag. 1.4 kilonewtons. Interesting. The drag force is decreasing at this point. The temperature is still increasing on those RTGs. That's becoming a spicy temperature. Okay. Still going up with that temp. It should start to go down very soon. Yeah, there we go. Now temperatures are decreasing. Looks like we don't need to put them in a fairing. And this guy got stuck here. That happens occasionally. He'll break free eventually. Okay, let's put this up at 10x then. If we don't need the fairing, then we don't need to be worried about it. We'll drop the inner shell. There we go. Wonderful. And now the question is, how's our battery charge doing? So we know that our battery is right down over here, right? And it looks like that's definitely draining. No doubt about that. And there are no solar panels to deploy, but it would have deployed the solar panels if they were there. So yeah, I'm not concerned about these RTGs then. We'll just keep an eye on their power output, but they're going to be constantly outputting for now a little bit over 200 watts. So that is understood. It'll take them about 5 hours at that rate to regenerate a kilowatt hour. So that's understood. And we're coasting, actually. Let's warp on forward. Time to apoapsis is dropping, and we're down to 3 minutes. Okay, we should definitely be like that. There we go. And let's boost that periapsis right on up. Perfect, that'll do. Orbital insertion complete. So at this point, we are now ready to commence our burns. So we're going to be heading out towards Claude, right? But I want to make some checks here. So we know we visited everything here. We've technically not, like, crashed into Juno. That would require a insane amount of Delta V. No doubt about that. That's maybe something that we could do after this mission. We went to Volco. Definitely. There are no moons there. We went to Sergia, and we went to Ord. No issues there. This is done, and we went to Silero, and we went to... Yeah, we went to both Herma and Niobe. Excellent. And then we went to Andrew's Comet. We went to Tytos, we went to Nebra, Miros, and Orcus. We went to Euratos, we went to Jastris, Boreas, Taurus, and Hypatchion. All of those were completed. And then there was one, and it is way out there. So this is Claude here, and we've got a ways to go to get here. No doubt about that. So to that end, we're going to need to make our way out. So, sometime around here we can plan a burn, and that is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to push this out something like this. And the question is, can we find ourselves a nice approach for Claude? Actually, that's not terrible. Huh. But we aren't in the correct inclination. So let's match the inclination, and we'll do that first. Inclination on Claude is going to be interesting, but let's just get ourselves into a position that is kind of like this to start with, and we'll see. So let's go ahead and execute that burn. That should be absolutely fine. So light up this engine, and that'll be about an 8-minute burn. And let's go. So at this point, I want to keep this pinned open to keep an eye on the performance of the RTG. I'm going to keep this pinned open because we know that we're going to need to ditch our drop tanks here eventually, but not for a while. We should have a good amount of DV for this, so that seems fine. But yeah, we're definitely going to want to make some alterations to our inclination, although it kind of looks like Claude is almost outside of the solar system. So there's that. Okay, so there's engine shutdown for this burn. At this point, we're going to warp up to... Why are we at 25x? Okay, we're going to warp up to the next event here. There we go. And from here, we're going to need to select Claude. Inclination is 3.82 degrees. Okay. This thing has a really long orbital period. Noted. That is measured in the tens of thousands of years. Okay, so at this point, the planet visitor is going to be sometime around here, right? And we need to change our inclination. Hang on, I forgot what it was. I got distracted by that orbital period. 3.82. So we're going to select planet visitor, and we need to set our inclination at the target descending node to 3.82 degrees. Okay, that's 3.72. That's 3.82 right there. Go ahead and do that. There we go. Yeah, lock to that. Perfect. So we're going to commence that burn. Claude is out over this direction. Wonderful. So this is, of course, going to be a little bit of a lengthy burn. Let's warp on through that. 50% and 90%. 8, 9, and there we go. That should put us in 3.82. Perfect. And now, of course, we're going to need to make our way out to Claude, which is currently out over here. And if we plan a burn here, and we make our way on out here. Let's pin that open. This definitely appears to be escaping the sphere of influence of Juno, but I'm not sure if maybe that's just a rendering distance limitation. Also, our inclination doesn't appear to be quite right. Okay, so it looks like the best we can do is somewhere around here. Okay. What about with a little bit of radial here? That's dialing in a lot. I'm really wondering what this is up over here, though. Okay, so that is a rendering issue, then. Gotcha. So we just need to continue to dial that in a bit. So this is 376 gigameters, which is about the best that we're seeing here. What if we did a little bit in the radial direction, or actually that's the normal direction. Yeah, that's dialing in slowly. Okay, so something about like that. And this is also going to be about 65 years before we get there. I want to point that out here. And this is going to be a lot of DV to get there as well. And this is still quite far away. That's very exciting. Very exciting indeed. It feels like we're really, really below where we should be. Hang on. I want to check something here. So this is the target ascending node here, right? Claude itself claims to be at an inclination of 3.82. Indeed. And we are at an inclination of 3.82, allegedly. But is Claude parented to Juno? That is a question that I actually have right now. It is. Okay. So 3.82 degrees. Noted. So it's just a matter of dialing this in then. Okay. So timing is going to need to be like out over here, right? And then we push this way out over this direction. That's 1,066 gigameters, but just doing this dials it into about 377. Okay. Beautiful. Little bit of inclination dials it in to 297. And then what about changing timing? Yes. This is the route that we need to take. So I see 105. We're going to need to turn down this sensitivity pretty soon. I see 45 gigameters. Okay. 32. This is 19. I saw like 15 here. Yeah, 15.5. 11 gigameters. Let me do a little bit of checking here. Yep, nothing on that direction. Maybe a little bit of prograde. I saw 11.2. Yep, 11.2. Okay. 10.0. We're down in the megometer range now. Barely, but we're down in the megometer range. This thing is far away. No doubt about that. Let's continue dialing this in. I want to get this down to about 100 kilometers. Thereabouts. We're almost certainly going to have to do a corrective burn after this. I think there's almost no doubt about that. I'm turning down the sensitivity even further now as we continue to dial this in. Okay, so I saw, like, yeah, about here. Dialing it in even more. Little bit more here. We're down to about 450 megometers. 200. That's about 60. 21.2. This is technically an encounter at this point. Okay, that was a little too much. We need this sensitivity all the way down at this point. So let's bring this down as much as it'll go. Which looked to be about 6,700. Okay. Continuing to bring this in. So this is now down to about 4,810 kilometers. Getting it a little lower here. Again, we're going to need to do a corrective burn, I'm willing to bet. But this is such fine-tuning at this point. Just incredibly fine-tuning. Okay, this is a little too much. 378, 153 kilometers. 60.1. I'm going to call this good. This is going to be wacky. Let's commence this burn. And we're going to need to correct it. 100% we're going to need to correct this burn. Okay, so 1.56 kilometers per second. Let's go. So 6.5 minute burn. Let's see if we have enough DV here in these drop tanks to get this burn completed. It would be ideal if we did. It's going to be kind of wild. So it's going to take us 58.71 years to just get there. But let's get this burn fairly correctly done. We're going to fine-tune it a little bit once we're done with this burn. Oh, hey, we obtained a hyperbolic trajectory out of the Juno system. We got the Voyager achievement for that. Okay, so at the periapsis here, we are going to need to fine-tune this a little bit. So we're at 739 megometers, and the question is... Okay, so somewhere around there? Yeah, bring that right on in. Okay. So this is 100 megometers here. Losing efficiency. 42.5. This is an encounter. Okay, that's down to 5,600 kilometers. Going back up. Okay. 789 kilometers. 484, 222, 95.2. This is only 0.37 meters per second of correction. Let's try it. Let's see where that puts us. About 4,000 kilometers. Well, it's definitely closer. And let's see about dialing that in a little bit more. This is definitely not the direction we want to go. Let's turn that sensitivity way, way down, all the way to 0. This is technically... Okay. Noted. This is so sensitive at this point. 965 kilometers, 121. This is basically an unachievable amount of delta V. We don't have this fine of precision. Let's give it a try and see what it does. I'm not sure if it is even willing to do anything. I don't think it is. We'll delete that planned burn, 53.7 megometers. I'm going to do it up here, where things are going to be slightly less efficient. So we're going to need to get rid of that. That's for sure. Sensitivity way, way, way down. Let's dial this in to be approximately... 41.1 kilometers. We'll give it a try. Let's see how that goes. 0.04 meters per second. I don't know if this is working. I'm going to delete that burn. We're going to try up over here. 433 megometers. So we're going to need to do something kind of like this. Okay. Noted. So bring that right on down. And continue to dial this in a little bit. This is a decent amount of delta V here. I think that we can potentially achieve this burn. Okay. Continue to dial this in a little bit here. There we go. 915 kilometers here. 331, 204, 181, 62.6. Let's try it about here. 72.1 kilometers. So that's about half a meter per second. So let's go ahead and warp to this burn. That's going to take some time to get there, obviously. $525 kilometers. That's really close. So we'll plan a burn up here. I'd like to make another course correction. That's way too much. Way too much. So if we burned a little bit retrograde here. Ooh, 104 kilometers. This is unachievable. I kind of want to just head up there at this point. To be honest. And just accept 527 kilometers. The real question is, I want to select Claude here. The real question is, that is quite curved. It should be okay. Let's go ahead and warp. And this is going to be a very, very long warp. We're about 50 years away from this, right? We're at maximum warp right now. We cannot warp faster. Note that our RTGs are not decaying currently. So that's good. Okay. So, here we are in the Wandering Graveyard. We are in range of Claude at this point. Huh. This is interesting. We don't appear to have a normal setup here. I'm going to lock velocity retrograde. And I'm going to commence a retrograde burn right now. I can see our orbital velocity here. This is burning basically towards Claude at this point. Very interesting indeed. So we can see our velocity overall. We just want to get this orbital velocity down to like 0. Yeah, I want to be in orbital mode, not in surface mode. And let's see if we can get ourselves captured. We should be able to get captured here fairly easily, in theory. Emphasis on in theory. We are going away from Claude right now, but we're going to be ditching our drop tanks soon. It's definitely really weird out here. No doubt about that. We've got 5% fuel left in the drop tanks. We've got plenty of fuel here. And plenty of electric charge. The music is weird here too. Well, okay then. Interesting. So we're just kind of shooting past Claude, but I can see that this is starting to bend here. So that's looking good. We're going to be captured eventually. And once we're captured, then we can start working with our orbit proper. Yeah, here we go. We're now officially captured. And you can see we are definitely on an impact trajectory, but I'm okay with that. I'm going to burn out the rest of these tanks. And then we're going to jettison those. Off they go. Excellent. Now what I want to do is I want to come up to the apoapsis here. I want to raise up our periapsis a little bit, just enough to get us to about 100-kilometer orbit. So that's in orbit there. And let's bring this up to 100 kilometers. So a little more than this. That's 100. Okay, we'll go ahead and execute that burn. Cool. And then it's going to take us about a day to get there. That's fine. So there we go. We've managed to get captured by Claude. And now I want to plan a burn at the periapsis here and bring this down to approximately a 100-kilometer orbit. So that's going to be a pretty big braking burn, right? And that's understood. So a 100-kilometer orbit will just circularize this right on up about like that. Well, that was very weird to get here. No doubt about it. That was considered a hyperbolic trajectory. But we managed to get this braked on down. Wonderful. And then we're going to be going in for a landing in the next episode. It's not quite... we're not quite able to fit that into this episode. It is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're definitely going to come in for a landing here at Claude. This is a very, very strange place. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Andy McGar, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time. Also, 5.8% of players have obtained a hyperbolic trajectory out of the Juno system, and only 0.2 have ever visited Claude. Interesting.